this is our first session of lecture, and of course it will be a part of the many recorded lectures that we will be conducting in relation to Introduction to Criminology. So I will be introducing to you the whole concept of criminology and of course the different issues that we should be talking about in this study. So in this module, we're going to talk about the nature of crime. Usually, what really comes into your mind when we are talking about crime? So you have seen probably many of things transpiring in your environment, in your surroundings, criminalities that are transpiring there. So we need to understand the nature of criminality as part of our discussion in Introduction to Criminology. So we need to answer the question, of course, number one is what is crime? How do we understand the nature of crime? And the three major school of thoughts that we are going to be tackling about in this field. So basically, in understanding what is crime, we should in the early days, crime is believed to have been influenced by evil spirits, demons, and so on. So the nature of understanding before is that criminality is due to evil possession. Those who commit crime believed to have been possessed by evil. So if we're going to look into the past, the nature of punishment that they're giving to those who committed crime is very harsh. Why is that? Because they believe that they're dealing with demons. So as you can see, some of the punishment that they're giving before are like burning at the stake, skinning alive, stoning to death. All punishment would result into death. Why is that? Because they believe that those who commit crime are actually possessed by demons and evil spirits. So they don't treat those criminals as human. Rather, they treat them as demon. So that's the first school of thought that we're going to be discussing all throughout this course. In this era, as I've stated, the form of punishment are very harsh because they believe that they're dealing with demons. So basically, the idea of giving punishment at this era is for the purpose of suffering. So since a wrong act is committed or a criminal act is committed, they need also to make the person who commit the crime pay for his actions. Not really the person, but the evil that possesses that person. He is the one being punished in this type of in this school of thought. Okay. So to understand better, we need to discuss, as I've stated, the three opposing criminology school of thought that existed in our field. So we have three major school of thought. That is, number one is Demonological theory. Again, we discussed that briefly already. Second school of thought is the Classical school, and the third one is the Positivist school of thought. As I've stated, these school of thought are conflicting with each other. They have their own interpretation into the nature of crime and its existence. So first thing is demonological school of thought. As I have stated, this school of thought believes that criminals are being possessed, or criminals are possessed by evil spirits and demons. And under this school of thought, they believe that crime originates from the original sin. So what is our original sin? Biblically speaking, we have original sin already the moment or when Adam and Eve, the history in the Bible, if you're all familiar with the story of Adam and Eve eating the forbidden fruit of knowledge, so this school of thought strongly believes that all our sin originates from that. So we are inherently, or human are inherently, has the tendency to commit crime ever since the day where humanity was stripped out of the divine protection. And to take that back, that started when Adam and Eve in the Bible had eaten the forbidden fruit of knowledge. So that's with regards to the school of thought. They believe that criminals are possessed by evil spirit. Okay? Next is the classical school of thought. Classical school of thought is much more philosophical. Demonological school of thought is spiritual. Classical is philosophical. Why philosophical? Because classical school of thought denies the existence of demons and evil spirit. Rather, they believe that free will exists. So free will is a philosophical thought wherein people choose what to do or how to act and how to behave. So basically, they believe that humans have free will. All human actions are free choice of human, and if that action results into conflict, then the person who did that must be liable, must be responsible. Every human must be responsible for his or her own action. If a person commits crime, then they believe that that is his own choice. But rather, he chooses to do that and he must be responsible for that action. So that is the idea of the classical school of thought. We will be discussing a lot more of the issues under classical school of thought. But I'm just giving you a little bit of overview of the three opposing school of thought in the field of criminology. So that's for classical. We have demonological. They believe in the spiritual possession. Classical school of thought, they believe in the concept of free will. They believe that human action are of free choice. Okay? The next school of thought is the Positivist school of thought. Maybe this is the most famous school of thought among the three, since the focus of the Positivist school of thought is much wider. They also deny the existence of free will. Positivist school of thought denies the existence of free will. They don't believe in the free will, in the concept of free will. Rather, they believe that human action are affected by many factors outside the control of the person. They believe that human actions are caused by many factors. So, this school of thought presents a multifactorial interpretation on the existence of criminality. Unlike for demonological school of thought, which believes that when a person commits a crime, that is because he is possessed by evil. The classical school of thought discusses that if a certain person commits a crime, that is because he chooses to commit that certain crime. However, the Positivist school of thought believes that a person's action are caused by many factors. Let's say, for example, Mr. Pedro killed Juan. So there is a crime committed there, which is the act of killing. Now, if we're going to interpret the action of Pedro using the three opposing school of thought in criminology, how would it be? So, under Demonological school of thought, Pedro is believed to have been possessed by evil. That is why he killed Juan. On the Classical school of thought, Pedro intentionally killed Juan of his own choice. So that is for classical, the concept of free will. On the Positivist school, if they're going to interpret the action of Pedro killing Mr. Juan, it would be in many factors. What are those factors? Factor can be psychiatrical in nature. Maybe Mr. Pedro has mental problem, that is why he killed Juan. Factors could be psychological in nature. Maybe Mr. Pedro has behavioral problem, that is why he killed Mr. Juan. Certain behavior is explained in many ways under the concept of the Positivist school of thought. Now, I would like to ask you before this discussion would end, which among the three mentioned school of thought you believe to be more correct in interpreting criminal behavior. So those are the school of thought that we will be discussing under the course of criminology. So first, demonological. Second is we have classical, and third we have positivist. Which do you think is more correct in the interpretation or in understanding and discussing criminality? Okay, see you next